What's going on, guys? Braces here. So today I have a list showcase for you again. This time this is Elves. This is the army I played at the WTC, but this list will be much more crazy than whatever I played and whatever you probably seen in the Elves. I fiddled with this concept a bit before the ETC, but it is very gimmicky and it is really not worth it to take it to any serious games. But I wanted to try it anyway and see what happens. So the basic idea is we have a dragon, we have a Pegasus, and then we have as much shooting as we can fit. So there are 35 coursers that don't count towards shooting limit, which is maximum of coursers with repeated handbows. The vanguard on them allows the Pegasus to vanguard further. We have 2 times Raven Cloaks, we have Assassin to cover for the armor, we have Dread Reapers to cover for bigger threats and armor, and we have auxiliaries as just simple shooting. There are no Dark Riders because they also count towards shooting limit, and I think it's a waste. So I would rather have just as many shooting units as possible. Pros: Reapers with the 6 shots each. Then you can actually have 177 shots per turn, which is wow, just wow. And this is not even bad shooting. Like the Corsairs shooting after March with quick to fire. The rest is AP1. Raven Cloaks hitting on 3-up if they come into the close range. That's really decent. You have 2 Cowboys that are hard hitting and very fast, especially the Pegasus. They are supposed to help you zone your opponent a bit, but I think it is generally pretty hard because yeah, you have no real combat here. You have decent magic support with rerolls to hit. The auxiliaries actually might become pretty good. Although after playing some games, I think I would rather have the familiar on the Oracle than the Morale Creeping. Divination is here because we have no BSB, and Divination likes to be outside of combat, right? So maybe it would be better to just have a Wandering Familiar to have extra 6 range. Maybe it is also a good idea to exchange the Dragon and the Pegasus, so the Wizard is on the Pegasus and the Lord is on the Dragon, but then he doesn't Vanguard. Yeah, the list is in no way competitive and in no list polished, and it is not polished. It is just a simple concept. Also, the units are really cheap. Like all the units, you can sacrifice them at ease. There is no issue in that, unless this is a general. Like all the rest are really expendable. And then with Bolt Throwers and Assassin, you have answers for everything, because with all the light shooting, you definitely can answer hordes and such. I think especially in Elves, this is really interesting because you have also the reroll to wound from the Hereditary. It is quite hard to cast, but reroll to wound on this many shots can be potent in some situations. So the biggest con obviously is leadership. You have only leadership 9, you have no BSB. You will most likely get the divination attribute where you need it, but yeah, that's absolutely terrible. In the scoring, yeah, yeah, combats and the covers. This is the issue, because I would expect many players to just stand in a corner, slowly get out of the corner, win the objective, win a bit on points, and if they just cover their units well, just shift the units so that the units that are weaker are in the back, yeah, then you will not get the points, and you need really wide board to actually utilize your shooting, because the army plays very wide and it covers and it blocks itself as heck. It is very random and luck dependent. Like there are things that can really go wrong, and that's why it will never be close to being competitive, I think. And also it's not a fun to play with nor against. I think those type of armies are just really not not the thing to bring. But I wanted just to see how much shooting can you fit in the army. So I've got a few games. This is one of them. I played against Vermin Swarms. You can see there are two big units, one with Pendulum, there is the Demon, there are two Doom Wheels, which is obvious, then there are some other smaller units, which don't matter that much. I think my opponent made a significant mistake here on the deployment, because he deployed really wide. We were playing 3 points, as you can see. I think if he deployed everything in the red zone pointed on the screen, then he would be much better, because he would most likely get he deployed all to go first. So he would be much better, because my shooting will definitely block itself, and he would get this scenario. And with his divination, with a bit of shooting he has, I think he would actually be much better than as he deployed right now. I also made like the one mistake that I didn't like through the duration of the game is that I would actually switch the 15 coursers with the bolt thrower in the middle. It caused some problems, but I wanted to have a leadership 9 on those coursers, which didn't matter in the end that much. So this is definitely a misplay on my part, but I think generally I'm in a pretty good spot right from the start. So he started, he moved up, his magic and shooting were pretty insignificant. So in my turn 1, I decided to go for the 10-inch charge with my Pegasus on his treadmill. It would be absolutely terrible for him, I think, if I made it. And I checked what position can I go for if I don't take the charge, but just simply move up. So this is the important part. You always need to check what you're going to do with your unit. If what's the alternative? So I felt the charge. I moved the coursers up so that the Vermin Hulks cannot charge the Pegasus and can't overrun into him, and the Dreadmill cannot charge the Pegasus and cannot overrun into him through the coursers. And I give the Pegasus extra LD just to be sure. I would like to point out 2 mistakes on my opponent's part. So he positioned his 2 main blocks very close to each other. So my Harpies can redirect both of them at the same time. I was really wondering whether I should even redirect the Harpies, the blocks, but I think I was much better doing that because I wanted to kill the weapon team that was on the hill. And the second mistake is that he actually allowed his Vermin Demon to be shot by the crossbows. The crossbows with rerolls to hit managed to score 2 wounds against the Vermin Demon, which is pretty underwhelming, but still 2 wounds are 2 wounds, and he could have avoided that pretty easily. On the other hand, I'm still pointing out to the mistake of the coursers on the left. If they were switched with the bolt thrower, they could probably defend the bolt thrower against the leftmost bolt thrower against the giant rats. Now they are practically useless. So after turn 2, he charged the Harpies and overrun and reformed the giant rats as follows. And he charged the Hulks into the coursers and overrun, and then my Peglord charged them and killed only 2, which was pretty shameful. His Vermin Demon finally hid from the crossbows, and he advanced the rest of the army. What I did is I think this turn I just moved everything out of his Pendulum line of sight. I think overrunning there with Pendulum was a mistake, because he allowed me to just ignore it for the turn. And with the current positioning, His clan rats also cannot charge my dragon, which is pretty stupid because his own unit blocks them. So there is that. My mistake through this game is that for some reason, like he has the BSB with the stand in the back item, and for some reason I thought he could attack with all 3 of his attacks with great weapon, which was why I didn't really decide to charge this unit at any point of the game with either my dragon or my Pegasus, which now I think was a mistake. So my magic still didn't do anything to the Vermin Demon. I managed to put some wounds on the Dreadmill with all my shooting, and Corsairs and the auxiliaries decided to shoot at the Vermin God and killed whooping three of them, which was pretty funny. So then, in his next turn, he just reformed. This is actually not the end of turn 3, but after his charge phase of turn 4, because the game took so long that we actually decided to stop there. So at this point, his pendulum removed in reformed in turn 3, and on turn 4 I just double fled from it, so it would be stuck in place again. His clan rat unit is again seeing nothing. I think in the previous picture, sorry if I came back, I think my dragon is a bit mispositioned, because if I positioned it better, he actually couldn't escape my line of sight with clan rats. I didn't measure that properly, so I got what I deserved, and his clan rats, as you can see here, escaped from the dragon's line of sight. In this position here, I needed to have 18 inches to his demon. I managed to finally kill it with the unerring strike, but since my shooting was totally ineffective on his dreadmills, like two full turns of shooting from pretty much everything, did only 4 wounds on the left dreadmill, and then the right dreadmill, 2 turns of shooting on close range with the assassin with rerolls to hit once, and I think some magic, did also only 2 wounds. So my dragon was vulnerable to shooting of his dreadmills. We checked that, and in turn 4 he would actually kill my dragon. I also mispositioned my Ravencloaks, since I didn't see that he could actually charge me with the Rat Augurs. I don't know if I would have fled, probably I would have fled, and I would have most likely rallied as I think we checked that. So, as you can see, the Vermin Gods charged the Corsairs and actually bounced back, which was really nice. I think in the following turns, I would most likely grab the objective on the left. I don't think he would be able to grab the objective, and I think we agreed that the game would end with like 14 or 15 win for me. There were quite some things that could have been improved here, but I think in general it is a pretty good showcase. I think that he allowed me to utilize my shooting pretty well. He didn't grant practically any covers to his units. If he positioned as I stated here in the corner, he could really limit my shooting capabilities, and I would probably lose this game like 8 or I would get like 8 or 9 points from this game, I would expect. So several conclusions. First one, although there are many shooting limits in most of the armies, the shooting limits are not as tight everywhere. So for example in Dread Elves, the Corsairs not counting towards the limit are really good. Then yeah, the Corsairs with repeater handbows are really good. So if you lack some core unit, if you have some spare points there, I think they're a really decent choice. Maybe even better than the 15 Spearmen. Crazy lists bring crazy games. I had a second game which was also equally crazy, where I managed to blow up my dragon with 4 dice, since I dealt like 3 or 4 wounds with the miscast 6. And you can basically get like I think around 13 or 14 with this list is the max, because if your opponent just wants to camp, then you are not able to score high. You have lots of luck dependent situations here, like the Pegasus is pretty swingy, then the dragon spells are pretty swingy, all the shooting is swingy, like bad things are bound to happen at some point. Though like and all the leadership checks you have to make, they are really terrible. So in general, I would not recommend using those type of lists, but if you feel like it, they can be quite fun, but mostly for the one side. So if you are that kind of guy, you're welcome to play such lists. Hope you guys enjoyed this showcase.